Hi, I'm Sam, and my lab was my home, and medical research was my life. I didn't work for money or fame. I worked to solve one of medicine's cruelest problems: how to detect cancer early in the world's poorest regions. My dream was an inexpensive, accessible diagnostic test that would change the course of the global fight against the disease.
I worked at a prestigious research institute under the guidance of two people I trusted most. Dr. Elias Vance was my mentor, a legend in oncology, with immense influence. He promised I would receive the recognition if we made a breakthrough.
Sarah was my lab partner, a brilliant biologist. There was always professional chemistry and unspoken romantic tension between us. We partnered for years, and I believed she was my most trusted ally. After 5 years of sleepless nights, I did it. I discovered the Clarity Protocol. It wasn't complex, but elegant. A brilliant method that allowed for highly accurate diagnostic testing using minimal, inexpensive resources. It was a breakthrough that could save millions of lives. Our discovery meant not only a Nobel Prize for the Institute, but a multi-billion-dollar contract with major philanthropic funds. When we got the final confirming results, the joy was incredible.
The time came to file the patent and publish the paper in a leading journal. Elias insisted on handling the paperwork. "Sam, your name will be first. You are the lead author. But my reputation and connections are essential to secure a fast patent review and the PharmCorp grant. Just trust me," he urged. I didn't hesitate. I handed over all the final data and lab journals and signed a stack of documents without careful reading, relying on my mentor's word. It was academic suicide.
A week later, I received a cold, formal email from the Institute's legal department. Due to non-compliance with data security protocols, your access to lab archives is temporarily suspended. I ran to Elias. His office was locked. I found Sarah in the lab. She wouldn't even look up. "Sam, it's Institute policy. Don't make it harder. Just leave." Her voice was pure steel. They didn't just steal my data, they stole my name, my legacy, and the chance to save millions of people, all for awards and money that should have been mine.
The first week was chaos. I tried to force my way into the institute, demanding explanations, but security blocked me. Finally, I met with a lawyer. He studied the documents Elias had me sign. My lawyer was grim. "Sam, you signed a waiver. Technically, you transferred all rights to the Clarity Protocol to the institute and its lead researcher, Vance, 2 weeks before publication. Your role was reduced to that of a technical assistant." He said fighting was futile. The academic system, built on grants and patents, had completely protected Elias.
A month later, the blow that ruined my career arrived. A leading medical journal published the paper. The name was changed to the Vance Sarah Protocol. Elias Vance was listed as the lead author, and Sarah was second. My name? It was missing. No citation, no mention. There was only a dry footnote about the temporary technical assistance of a junior researcher, Sam. They didn't just steal, they erased me from medical history.
The institute immediately counterattacked. When I tried to tell old colleagues the truth, I found that Elias had already gotten ahead of me. Rumors spread across campus that I was unstable, that I couldn't handle the pressure of success, and that I had been fired for unauthorized data access and attempted sabotage. The doors to the academic world were permanently shut. I was labeled a toxic outcast.
My downfall began. I lost my lab space, my housing, which was tied to my stipend, and my last savings went to hopeless legal consultation. I had to work as a delivery driver to make ends meet. I sat in my cheap, dirty apartment and watched TV. On screen, Elias Vance and Sarah stood accepting a prestigious award for the Vance-Sarah Protocol. They smiled, holding their trophies, talking about dedication and hard work. In that moment, I didn't feel jealousy.
I felt rage, because they stole not just money, but the chance to accelerate saving millions of lives. Farm Corp announced the start of clinical trials for the Vance and Sarah protocol, but knowing my own code, I understood. They could not perfect my technology without my genius. They would get stuck at the basic implementation stage.
Realizing this, I made a decision. If they stole 1.0 to win academic prizes, I would build 2.0 to win the real war, the war against disease. I would no longer work in a system that valued power over truth. I would become independent. I started coding again, not for an academic paper, but to create the world's first truly autonomous AI diagnostic tool, capable of working without expensive lab chains.
I left Boston and moved to a small town in upstate New York. It was cheaper, and I could work in isolation. My new lab was a basement, and my protection was anonymity. I stopped chasing academic papers. My goal became a commercial and, most importantly, an independent realization of my dream.
I named the new project Aether Diagnostics. If the Clarity protocol was a simple chemical reaction, Aether Diagnostics was an entire brain based on deep machine learning. I built an AI capable of analyzing thousands of blood biomarkers using standard scanning, achieving accuracy unavailable even to the most expensive labs. This wasn't just diagnostics, it was personalized, predictive medicine.
For 2 years, I worked alone, fueled by ramen and sheer stubbornness. The problem wasn't the code, it was the distrust. My reputation as a paranoid researcher fired for sabotage had permanently closed the doors of funding firms. When I tried to tell the truth about the Clarity protocol, investors saw only an outcast. Finally, I managed to get a meeting with Hannah Reed. She was known in Silicon Valley as a venture capitalist who believed in mad geniuses and wasn't afraid to take big risks. I flew to California, prepared for yet another rejection. Instead of listening to my market pitch, Hannah asked, "Sam, tell me about Dr. Vance and Sarah. I need to know how deep your paranoia runs." I told her everything. The theft, the fabricated documents, the destruction of my reputation. When I finished, she didn't express sympathy. She expressed understanding. The academic world is a jungle. Vance simply gamed the system, she said calmly. Hannah immediately saw the genius of Aether Diagnostics and its potential to disrupt the pharmaceutical market that Elias and Sarah were targeting. She offered me investment, but under entirely new terms, the terms I dictated. "Here is my offer," she said. "You retain 80% control over all algorithms and patents. We will establish a special legal structure that makes it impossible to reassign your IP. We won't work with institutions and grants. We will sell our technology directly, changing the world, not just publishing papers." This was the first time since the day of the betrayal that I felt safe. Hannah invested not just money, she invested in my protection and my redemption. She was my shield in the business world. With Hannah Reed at the helm and Aether Diagnostics in my hands, I was ready not just for revenge, but for a complete transformation of global diagnostics. My former mentors would soon realize they stole the wrong version.
Under Hannah's leadership, Aether Diagnostics hit the market with incredible speed. We focused on direct collaboration with large private labs and charitable organizations. Our AI demonstrated 99.8% accuracy, detecting disease markers years before they became obvious. Hannah relied on transparency, and my new technology was so complex it was impossible to copy. We weren't publishing papers, we were saving lives. Meanwhile, the Vance-Sarah protocol ran into insurmountable problems. I knew Elias and Sarah couldn't perfect my original complex architecture. When Farm Corp began clinical trials,
The protocol failed. It proved incredibly inaccurate when handling real, diverse data. They hadn't accounted for all the variables that were only in my old, unpublished notes.
Whispers started in scientific circles. Failures in clinical trials led to huge losses for PharmCorp, and worse, an investigation at the Institute. Elias Vance, their golden boy, was accused of exaggerating results and negligence in his patent application. An audit of his past grants began. His reputation, built on decades of academic authority, collapsed in weeks. The cruelest part for them was that their downfall happened against the backdrop of my triumph. Aether Diagnostics secured a contract with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to deploy our system in the developing world. This was my original dream, realized 10 times more powerfully. When global news covered our breakthrough, mentioning Sam as the genuine genius working outside the academic system, Vance's reputation was finally destroyed.
I received an email from Sarah, not Elias, but her. The message was desperate, full of rambling excuses and pleading. She confessed that their attempts to fix the protocol's code were futile, and Elias was under internal investigation. Sam, you are the only one who can save this discovery. Come, help us, save your work, save the lives that need to be saved.
She wasn't asking for money. She was begging for my genius. In the very moment she referred to my work as their discovery, I knew they had learned nothing. I showed the email to Hannah. She said calmly, "Your code isn't tied to their vesting, Sam, but your morals are tied to their failure."
My reply was brief and final. I wrote, "I cannot fix what you stole, Sarah. My focus is now on saving lives with Aether Diagnostics. I recommend you consult the Institute's lawyer regarding your current data issues."
This wasn't revenge. This was justice. They wanted fame and fortune. In the end, they got discredit, legal issues, and shame, while my second, improved discovery began fulfilling the very mission I started out to achieve.
Today, Aether Diagnostics is not just a startup. It is a global force in healthcare. Our system operates in dozens of countries, diagnosing diseases with unprecedented accuracy. My original dream, to provide inexpensive, accessible diagnostics, became a reality, but on a scale I couldn't have imagined working in an institute basement. My company's value is measured in hundreds of millions, but the true triumph is measured in saved lives.
As for Elias Vance and Sarah, the investigation launched by the Institute and PharmCorp after the protocol's failure led to their complete downfall. Vance lost his tenure, his reputation, and all his grants. Sarah was quietly dismissed, her academic career over. They didn't become Nobel laureates. They became an example of academic fraud. They got everything, fame, money, patents, but they couldn't keep it because they lacked the main thing, my intelligence, which they considered mere technical assistance.
Thanks to Hannah, I learned not to fear. By becoming my partner, Hannah showed that it is possible to work ethically, even in the highest stakes environment. She prevented me from turning from a genius into a mere avenger, focusing my energy on creation rather than destruction.
Many people asked me why I didn't go to the police or sue when Aether Diagnostics became successful. I could have legally destroyed them. But why waste precious time when I could build something that made their crime irrelevant? I realized that the best revenge is not when you destroy their old world, but when you create a new one in which they hold no significance.
My story is a lesson in priorities. They sought fame. I sought a solution. They sought recognition in papers. I sought accuracy in code. I lost an academic career, but I found my true mission and my freedom. Remember this, they can steal your data, but they cannot steal your vision, your talent, and most importantly, your desire to create something better. If you're knocked down, get up and build version 2.0. That is the one thing they can never steal.
I saved my dream by building an empire that completely eclipsed their stolen discovery. But I still wonder, is creating Aether Diagnostics the best punishment for Elias and Sarah? Or should I have pushed for their imprisonment? Write your opinion in the comments. If this story about genius overcoming unethical practices resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Let's prove that truth and talent always defeat deceit.